well.
It's time for ACC Central, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Monty Taylor, Micah Butel, and Nick Dioli.
We are back, college baseball fans. Welcome back. Still no Nick Dioli. Micah is getting upset. He's getting very concerned, but well, I guess maybe not. It's all about the you, not the Nick. Micah, welcome back.
Your favorite team is my favorite team.
There you go.
And me. Love.
Funny enough, talking about Nick, he was the only one that was confident about ranking Miami last year. That was a mistake. But this year, they've got a whole new roster, and I mean that almost literally. Micah, do you just want to jump right into it? Wow.
Yeah. So we've got if you watched ACC baseball last year and Miami, yeah, I like how you did that, Monty. Instead of doing the departures, how about we just talk about the returners, because that's basically it. Everyone else,
that isn't even key returners. That is all the returners. That is all 8 of them. They even cut
Monty, before you open to the additions. I want to know your thoughts, because we never really talked about it. That was the one flaw of me having to go to the SoCon tournament after day one of the ACC tournament, when Miami obviously defeated Louisville, went on a run to at least get to the semifinals. But what do you think? Do you think this was needed for Miami? Like, I know obviously some of it is draft related, Gage Deal gets drafted.
The entire rotation were fourth-round draft picks.
Correct. I mean, one of the best pitching staffs. That's what's crazy. This is one of the better pitching staffs in the conference. And they obviously had such a rough year. But, do you feel like it wasn't obviously they cleaned house. Not all of it was by choice. But, do you feel like this fresh start is actually a good thing, and not necessarily – because, for some teams, right, we'd be really concerned about this is a whole new roster where – I mean, again, I wouldn't have the audacity to rank them just yet, but there's reasons to believe they're capable of being a top 25 team this year.
Yeah, I think it was needed. They really needed to revamp what they had, and they brought in a really good freshman class that I think is going to get a chance to develop without too much pressure, because they brought in such a good transfer class. And I imagine their next recruiting class is also going to be really good. So, they are a team that expects to go to Omaha every year, even when things go like last year. And if you remember, they were actually leading in the 7th inning of that ACC semifinal game, where they could have backed into the NCAA tournament somehow.
It's crazy. You're 2 years removed. I mean, obviously they didn't advance from their own regional, but they were regional 2 years ago.
They were a number 9 seed. Yeah. If they had won, they would have gone or they might have been the 8 seed. But yeah, either way, they were a top 10 national seed, whether they were a top 8 or a top 9. I can't remember, but yeah, a lot of turnover, but you're going to see from this transfer class and the recruits there, look at that group. I mean, that's a ton of newcomers coming in. I couldn't even list, I feel like, everybody, but that's what they're bringing in. A lot of experience, but they also bring in some really good recruits. I only got to list one recruit, and that's Michael Torres, who's expected to start in center field, but a lot of talent there.
I don't like this list.
Why not?
You know why I don't like this list?
Oh, yes. I see. I got very confused. I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of good quality arms from some smaller schools, and, they got some quality hitters from experienced programs. Is there anybody on this list that you're particularly excited about or bitter about?
Well, so first off, Jack Ogden's really good. I liked watching him a lot at UNCG. That was when I saw Miami got him, I got excited, because that was someone that obviously UNCG and ETSU went at it a lot last year and even the year before that. But, Jake is one of the kids that really stood out to me. I thought he brings a lot to the table. I mean, you can almost pencil him in as the starting shortstop for this year, which I think is exciting. Again, he's got some good pop. He's very sound defensively. So I really like that pickup for them. Will Smith was really fun to watch. I got to watch a lot of Coastal. Shout out to my guy Hayden, who obviously is a Coastal but also Miami fan. So, he's excited about Will Smith coming over to Coral Gables from Conway. And obviously, right, I have to shout him out. But Jackson Cleveland, the probably projected closer for this team. He was a shutdown guy, huge part. I know, I mean, I can't speak too much on it, but I know some of the guys for Lamar, right, who they know I run this ACC page. They talked to me about Jackson a little bit, and they had nothing but high praise about him. And obviously, he's missed here in Beaumont, but I think he's going to be a great addition for Miami. So I'm excited and obviously rooting for him to obviously have the same success he had, if not more success than what he had here in Beaumont. So I think those are the three I'm most excited about because obviously I didn't really follow Jackson all that much, but both Will Smith and Jake Ogden are two guys that I really enjoyed watching over the last couple of years.
Yeah, two guys I'm really excited about. I got introduced to on the Cape. Jake Ogden is one. I obviously didn't see him at UNCG, but once it was confirmed he's going to Miami, all of a sudden he's on my radar, and he was a lot of fun to watch. He played mostly third base. And then Griffin Hughes, what a summer he had. And he got so much better as the summer went on, and to a point where he was a really critical part of Bourne making it to that league championship. I think he had a 5 shutout inning start. That's really where he was able to get stretched out, and he's going to potentially be in the weekend rotation for Miami. But two more names I'm going to give you. Bobby Marsh holds like all the records at Penn State. That's an underrated get, I think, especially considering how good Penn State is looking to be this year. And then Derek Williams, I saw him in the opening week or in Jacksonville last year, and he was such a spark plug for that Wichita State team. A lot of fun to watch, really kind of a gritty baseball guy. But, you know, I could talk about all these guys, but let's just get into the rotation first. This is where the biggest question marks come. We just talked about Gage Zeal, Herrick Hernandez, and Rafe Schlesinger, all gone, all drafted in the 4th round. Really, all really good guys, but probably stretched to their limits last year because the bullpen was so bad. But here's what they look like in the rotation, and 2 of their returners are actually in that conversation with Nick Robert, who was kind of forced to be the closer last year because that's where they needed him to be. But from what I understand, I heard on Darren Vaught's podcast with Ortega that they actually like what he has as a starter more. It doesn't really fit that back end relief role like he does a starter role. And then Brian Walters, the younger brother of Andrew Walters, who is now with the Cleveland Guardians, if he can stay healthy, you know, he's got a shot to be a really good piece for the rotation.
Yeah, I think right. I mean, this, in my opinion, is probably what determines whether Miami returns to the NCAA tournament or not, is whether this rotation, you know, they figure out who the 3 are, maybe 4, obviously, if you include the midweek, but also that obviously they kind of get their numbers because, I mean, obviously that was the key last year. Like Monty, I don't want to, you know, we'll get to the lineup in a little bit, but I do think, right, the lineup is probably better this year.
I think I would
transfers they got. Like, I think you're a lot more excited about the offense. Like, it's almost you flipped the narrative. Last year, you felt good about the starting pitching. The bullpen had some question marks, right? Was very, very, very inconsistent. And the offense was minus 1 or 2 guys, pretty non-existent. Minus Charlotte for a little bit there. Yeah. But then obviously now it's kind of flipped where the bullpen feels like at least they've got depth now. A lot of good transfers there. You feel good about the lineup with obviously, you know, Cuvée and them coming back, but also the transfers you went out and got. And now with the starting pitching, you're kind of like, who is going to be those guys? Because, I mean, again, that was one of the, if not arguably the best 1-2-3 rotation in the conference last year. I mean, at least consistency wise, they were up there. So, you know, this is going to be a huge, huge battle, I guess, to see who kind of ends up being those 3 and if they can kind of be in that top half of the conference and as a rotation as a whole.
Yeah, and apologies to the Hughes family for the typo in there on Griffin's name, on the last name there. There should not be an E there. It's just I drive me nuts when I saw that because I even double checked these slides and I still missed it. So Alex Giroux is a guy they're really high on as well. Was a starter at Hawaii last year. You know, I mean, had actually really good numbers: 66 strikeouts to just 14 walks, 7-3, 3.43 ERA. You know, that's a guy that, you know, might be in the conversation as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about how this goes out. I think Nick Robert, he wasn't listed on one of my sophomore breakouts, but I think he's going to take a big step forward in that starting role. I don't know if I think he's probably going to be the Friday night guy as a sophomore, which is a lot of pressure on him. But, you know, obviously he had to handle pressure a lot last year as one of the only reliable guys in the bullpen. But speaking of that bullpen, here's what we're looking at.
Yeah, a lot more. Again, not proven in Miami uniforms, but proven guys. I mean, Will Smith was really, really good. Jackson Cleveland was really, really good. I think Rob Evans you should be excited about. I'm intrigued by Alex Stanek. I think he's someone that, when looking back on it, if he can step up, can be, again, listed, right? Key reliever. And then obviously those freshmen. I mean, we talked about it with Georgia Tech, right? The class they brought in, there's a reason to be excited. Obviously, kind of the same thing, right? If let's just say 2 of those 4 you have listed right now can have some success, that's going to be light years better than what Miami had last year out of their bullpen.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the bullpen will be much better. Obviously, Jackson Cleveland's the favorite. We've already talked about him pretty much, enough. But he's set to be the closer. And then you've got just guys that are, like you said, proven guys. And obviously you've got some freshmen who I think are going to step up. I'm not sure which of the ones it's going to be, but those are guys that are going to get opportunities. Not a ton of left-handed arms, but you got Rob Evans, who's probably going to be your best left-handed arm. And then you're going to have to rely on some freshmen. Michael Fernandez is probably going to be the number 1 guy, but you've got a couple of others. And you got Ryan Ashford, who's another freshman, who's a lefty. Jake Dorn is actually a lefty. I have him listed here as a right-handed reliever, but you're going to have to figure out those left-handed arms because as we've shown you with some of our previews already, some of these teams are loaded with lefty sluggers.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what our rotation. There's Griffin Hugas. They don't wear these are pictures taken from preseason, and they don't wear the logo, I don't think, during.
Is there any chance this photo is pulled for like an NIL purpose?
That's possible.
Because if so, that's why. Because they can't put the Miami logo. Because
that's possible.
That looks very cleanly photoshopped. I'm not saying that they're not wearing the logo, but I would be very shocked if they didn't wear the logo. Maybe not on the shirt, but even then, I would be very shocked if they don't. Yeah. But again, could be. Maybe you have to earn to wear it. Maybe you have to earn the old English M.
Maybe that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Monty actually would prefer if they wear those hats in games.
What are you talking about? I love the English M. Prove that I don't.
Someone find an old podcast where Monty's just crapping on it. But
there you go. There's what we talked about. It looks like Nick Robert, Brian Walters, Griffin Hugas, and I did it again. It must be an autocorrect or something.
There we go. Excuses.
Apologies to the Hugas family. I'm so sorry. Alex Giroux, possibly the midweek guy. He could be in the weekend rotation as well. But then that's kind of how your bullpen shakes out if Jackson Cleveland is the ace there.
I can confirm Hugas family for what it's worth. Monty did spell Griffin's last name right in our spreadsheet for our notes. So
I spelled it right on the transfer in as well.
For what it's worth, he does know how to properly spell it. This is not completely an excuse. It's an excuse.
And also they saw my Cape Cod graphics all the time. It always had it spelled right.
Oh, here we go, Mr. Toot Your Own Horn about being big time Cape Cod guy. We get it.
All right, let's get to the lineup here. Lots to be excited about. Catcher, they don't have a lot of depth behind Tanner Smith, who is a defensive first catcher from Oregon State. Evan Taveras and Ethan Puig, one of them has never really played catcher before until they decided to put it back there. I'm trying to remember. I think that was Puig has
Ethan, right?
Yeah, Ethan Puig has never played catcher in a game. And they decided they wanted him there. They don't have a ton of catching depth. They're all freshmen. There's another catcher on the roster as well in Nolan Johnson. But other than that, those are your catchers.
I like the quote you put there, Monty. I don't know where you got the quote from. Maybe it was from him directly, like from you or who you got it from. But it's for Ethan Puig. He can play any position.
That would be D1 got that from their fall report.
Gotcha.
Yep. So. Yeah, Ortega said it to whoever wrote the fall report for D1. So, that's your catchers. Tanner Smith's probably your 8 or 9 hitter. He's defensive first. That should help the pitching staff as well. But let's take a look at this infield.
Yeah, there we go. Now let's get happy.
And what's interesting, we're not doing this live. Oh my goodness, I see another issue.
Oh no. Well, let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Is it Adrian's last name?
Nope, it's at third base.
What did you spell wrong?
I didn't spell anything wrong, but the player that is there plays for Florida State.
Oh, yeah.
Carter McCulley plays for Florida State.
Monty hates Miami.
I mean, I guess they were just the last one I did, but I mean, you don't have a true shortstop. Jake Ogden's a third baseman who's good, who can play shortstop, which is good because you need his bat in the lineup. You've got Cuvée, who's going to be at third likely. Jake Ogden could also play first. Todd Hudson could shift to the outfield, but I really like Todd Hudson and the power he's got. Another Liberty guy coming to the ACC. 24 extra base hits for Liberty last year. Left-handed slugger. Dorian Gonzalez is obviously back. But, if Jake Ogden isn't starting at short, you do have two really good shortstops in Areziga and Degotti there, the freshman.
Yeah. I think you have to feel pretty good about this lineup, especially this infield comparatively to last year.
Yeah, let me just make sure I didn't have somebody else who should have gone on that third base role. No, I listed everyone I was going to list.
That's probably why. I mean, could you have put? No, probably not. I mean, you have one other infielder listed.
Yeah, DeJesus. Yeah. I probably done another freshman, but yeah, that's probably why I didn't do it, because I couldn't find one and I thought there was somebody there. So anyway, there's our outfield, and it's pretty good. From what I understand, Michael Torres is one of the best defensive outfielders that Ortega has ever seen, from what I understand. So he's going to be your starter in center field. Derek Williams and Bobby Marsh, one of them is probably going to DH. The other one's going to be your right fielder. And then Max Galvin, who is somebody we did not talk about. He's somebody who went to Oklahoma State, didn't play at all after, he was a big-time JUCO guy, didn't play at all at Oklahoma State. He's going to get a chance. The summer he had, Micah, let me tell you, man. He was up in the North. I'm trying. He was up in the Northwoods League. He played in 62 games, hit 344, 18 doubles, 13 home runs, drove in 70 runs, Jeez. Walked 35 times, only struck out 35 times, stole 19 bases, had a 1.001 OPS. I believe he was the MVP.
That's a pretty average summer for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot.
What team was he on, Monty?
He was on the same team, I believe, as he was on Wasau. I can't remember if that was
the Woodchucks.
The Woodchucks.
How much wood could a Woodchuck chuck if Max Galvin's playing in left field?
Apparently a lot. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this. I mean, Canes Cats, we're not doing this live, so if we were, though, I imagine he'd be in our comments telling us how right or wrong we are.
You'd be in so much trouble with him right now for how you spelled Mr. Hugis's last name.
I'm not concerned about him for my misspelling. I'm concerned about the Hugises, who are big fans. Yes. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. Fabio Peralta is listed on there. He's supposedly really good defensively as well and could be a late inning defensive replacement at times. So, and Gabby Gutierrez is a pinch hitting genius. So this might be the deepest outfield. Who knows?
That's a bold take. I like it though. I mean, this is a team that I think last year, right, we bought in a little bit, and by you maybe I don't think we're as high as, especially. I mean, their order definitely went Nick, a little bit of a gap, me, a little bit of gap, you, but I think even I was a little too high on Miami to start, obviously, last year because of what we thought they were, and obviously, right, they had a special season, being a top 10 regional host in 2023. So I think, right, the expectations are much lower this year. This is a team that, we'll get to expectations for 25, but I think there's reason to be excited and to think that, right, this is not going to be, because it felt like Miami last year was, if you were a team vying for an NCAA tournament spot, you kind of felt like, okay, Miami's a team, we got to win at least 2 or 3, if not sweep, where now it's going to be, you're at least going to feel like you have to earn it to go down there and win a series.
Yeah, and going down there was not easy even last year, as Virginia and North Carolina and even Clemson. Yeah, I think Clemson won the series, but they found out.
Yeah, I was at the game they lost, so yeah, I'm sorry for that. But
the Mike Light magic and
Mark,
the milkshakes. Mark Light. Did I say Mike Light? That time Mark Light. There we go.
Mark Light.
Mark Light. There we go. Mark Light. Mark Light. Did I say Mike Light? Mark Light. 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 Mark Light.
Yeah.
I'm used to writing it. That's the problem. But yeah, let's take a look at the potential lineup and batting order. I mean, we got Daniel Cuvée and Dorian Gonzalez, the two returners that are going to be in the lineup. They're pictured there.
You didn't feel like photoshopping jerseys on the rest of the guys?
No, I did not. Or trying to find some of them. So there we go. But how are you feeling about this lineup? Again, it's a lefty heavy lineup. Again, you got some good balance there.
I mean, I think the lineup's pretty good. I think the part that, I mean, we haven't done a good job yet, Monty, in my opinion, of really talking about Daniel Cuvée. I think it's because you and I just know how good he is. But like for some people that might be listening, I feel bad for him. He was overshadowed last year because Drew Burress existed.
Drew Burress, Henry Ford.
Yeah, correct. Like
AJ Grazia.
And again, right, of those teams we're talking about 3 teams that made the NCAA tournament where obviously Miami was, down. I mean, they barely got into the ACC tournament. So Daniel Cuvée, I mean, watching him this summer for Team USA, I mean, he clearly knows how to hit the baseball. He's got great approach. He's very sound at third as well. I mean, he's somebody that could be ACC Player of the Year type caliber. I mean, he really is that good.
He led Miami in most important statistical categories offensively.
He is one of the more dangerous four spot hitters in the country. I mean, he's someone that I'm so excited to see because I think what I saw over the summer from what I saw in the spring with him, like he really has, like he got better as the season went on in the spring. He looked much better, and he looked like he was one of the guys I took note of in the summer at Team USA that was used. Not to say that these guys that play for Team USA don't use it as learning opportunities, but I just noticed that Daniel Cuvée spent a lot of time talking with coaches after at bats and after games, and just even like when I talked to him in Johnson City, he kind of talked about a little bit just how he's trying to develop and continue to grow and work on some of his weaknesses. Like you can tell that this guy's hungry and is getting better as like, I wish I would have seen him in the fall. I can't wait to see obviously what we get from him in the spring, but I think he's going to be even better than last year. And he was really, really good last year. So I just want to make sure we gave a little bit more love. Monty, you and I know how good he is, but I want to make sure that we publicly make it obvious to everyone out there that Daniel Cuvée is one of the best players in this conference. And, him obviously being in the heart of this lineup is going to be something to obviously fear if you're any team in the conference going against him.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, he struggled a little bit at Team USA, but he had a great summer in the Cape where, it was kind of the inverse of Drew Burress. Drew Burress really struggled in the Cape and then was awesome at Team USA. So it's just interesting, but that's just goes to show you the Cape Cod can humble a lot of guys, but yet Daniel Cuvée succeeded a lot. And hit 314.
And again, when I was watching him at Team USA, yeah, you're right. He did he wasn't popping off the stat sheet, but you could tell that there was a development side to what he was doing. Where some of the guys, I can't remember the shortstop name that was from Alabama State that transferred over to Alabama, but he was using it to showcase himself. Daniel Cuvée, I don't think was not saying he didn't want to impress scouts, but it felt like it was more of I'm playing the best players in the country. Let me work on my game. And not worry about what the stat sheet says. Let's work on my approach. Let's work on my discipline. Let's work on, seeing pitches. How I my swing. I noticed that there was conversation about how his swing was. It was really cool to watch. Kind of, he felt like a student of the game in a way that, I guess because of how good I knew he was, I was kind of surprised to see this kid was only trying to get better, as if my brain was this kid doesn't need to get better. He's already good enough.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing I wanted to point out while we were on this screen as well is Dorian Gonzalez was the cleanup guy most of the year last year. And that's how improved this lineup is that he would be I expect him to be shifted down in the order to 7th again. I mean, he could hit at the top of the order, but I mean, that just shows you how deep the lineup is versus last year.
Yeah.
How's this graphic?
So much better. We're getting better. All 4 podcasts in the recent 4 days have been much, much better. This schedule, though, yikes.
Yeah, they do face UConn in non-conference. They do face at Florida in non-conference. So they're testing themselves. They don't leave the state of Florida at all for non-conference, but it ain't easy.
Yeah, and I mean again, you've got Florida State, you've got North Carolina, you've got Virginia. Where is it? Okay, wait. No. Why am I drawing a blank? Do they have NC State? Do I see them? Am I missing them? Okay, no, they avoid them. I thought maybe they had all 4. No, they do. Yeah, they have. That's what I thought. They have all 4 teams that went to Omaha last year in the ACC.
And the ACC tournament champion in Duke.
Correct. Exactly. And again, like the more winnable bottom of the conference teams are, at Pitt, at Boston College, I mean, not saying that Wake's a bottom feeder, but Wake's that middle of the pack for some. Depending,
they face every ACC tournament team or ACC team that made the regionals except Clemson.
Correct. And then obviously, like Notre Dame is at least they're at home because we all know what happens when you go to Notre Dame the last weekend of the season. But I mean, this is a obviously tough schedule. The Florida series this year being in Gainesville, that's tough. Niagara is normally one of the better teams in the MAAC, so could be a potential NCAA tournament team they see the first weekend of the season. Obviously, UConn, I had them ranked in my preseason top 25, so that's going to be a potential series that's going to be tough. UCF, we've talked about them. That's a very good midweek opponent to play. I mean, this is a schedule that,
and keep in mind they didn't do very well in non-conference midweeks last year.
Yeah,
so.
Very true. So yeah, this will be something to, again, like there's reasons, and that's what's exciting. I think, Monty, is that those first couple weekends, like the Niagara and Princeton, really aren't like, oh, I'm so excited from just like the names of who they're playing, but because there's so much we want to see from them, I'm more likely, like, I think we're getting lucky because a lot of the ACC teams we have question marks on are playing teams that we feel like they should beat, but B will help us at least kind of for our eyes see who's starting where, who's in what spot in the lineup, what's the rotation look like, what's the bullpen setting up to be.
The tricky part is just
side, some of the teams we know more about are going to be, all right, we're going to jump right in and take on, Clemson's taking on Oklahoma State in the first game. Like, hello, top 15 matchup to start the season at 11 a.m. on a Friday. Like,
yeah.
Or 12 o'clock your time.
And the tricky part will be not to overreact one way or the other either, because, based on the competition, you can't.
Monty, just know I'll be waving for you at behind home plate.
You think you're gonna get back behind there for that one?
Be right there, Flow Sports, just waving at Monty the whole game.
Oh, I won't be watching Flow Sports, so unfortunately.
Well, then I'll just live stream it, and then we'll get banned by D1 Baseball. I got you.
The last time I did Flow Sports, they didn't cancel it after the 1 month. So no. I'm not risking it again because I ended up paying for like a whole year basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I guess you'll have to just catch a flight to Dallas.
I have a date with Duke and UNC that weekend, so maybe NC State. Who knows? They put all the games at the same time, though, so I can't go. I have to choose each day which one I want to go to. But, Micah, for Miami, there's a certain. Let's put that back up on screen, actually, real quick. I just want to. I shouldn't have taken it off the way I did, but here we go, and back up. There's a certain weekend that you're intrigued by.
There is. Am I supposed to say it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was starting a discussion.
Well, there's a world, Monty, where if it all makes sense, I'll spend my Easter in beautiful Florida, and I'll see the Buzz Boys against old Miami, 418, 419, 420. And just conveniently enough, Virginia happens to be in Tallahassee. Last year, I did the Easter weekend where I caught Miami and Clemson and Florida State and Louisville. So getting to see one of my crushes, and then seeing a top 5 team in the other spot, not a bad place to be in. So I might be in Florida on 418, 419, 420. We'll see.
I mean, yeah, and I mean if you go
wait a second, is 420 Easter? That's wild. That's wild.
It is, and by the way, that Florida State Virginia series starts
correct on a Thursday. Correct
on a Thursday.
Well, I probably won't go to the Sunday game because if I'm going to Florida to see my family, I probably should actually spend the Easter, with my family. But I know, crazy idea.
All right. Anyway, let's get to the important stuff here. Is Miami a tournament team?
Are they as of right now? That's the problem, Monty. I feel like the ACC.
I need an answer right now.
I feel like the ACC can't have more than 10 teams. I feel like that, like, As much as I want to feel like we can justify 12 or something, like it's going to be hard to say that there's 12. Like the committee will let the ACC have 11 or 12 teams, and Miami is right on the cusp. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say no, even though I considered ranking them.
Wow, I'm
going
to
to say right now they are not like.
I think with the expanded conferences, I think we can get 11 or 12 in. I think Miami
Even
might
if
slip
so,
in there.
Monty, I mean, I think all 4 North Carolina schools are in.
Okay.
Virginia's in. That's 5. Georgia Tech's in. I have Louisville being better than Miami, so that's 7. Florida State's in. That's 8. Stanford's in. That's 9. Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody else? I didn't say Clemson yet. That's 10. Miami's number 11. So, you know what?
Miami.
You know what? They're in. They're the last 4 in.
There you go.
We'll go 11, and the expanded will go 11.
There you go. I have Pitt at 11, so we'll see. No, I think Pitt and Miami will be near that conversation as well.
They play, right? Is it at Pitt?
Yeah, it will be at Pitt because they played. Yeah, because they played at Martin.
I might have to change my mind now, Monty. We know what happens when teams go to Pitt. Pitt happens.
Pitt happens. So we'll see. But anyway, that'll do it here for us at the at Miami. Talking about Miami, we're not at Miami.
Yeah, it's currently 18 degrees down here in Beaumont, Texas. So I kind of wish I was in Miami.
Yep, but we'll be back next with either North Carolina or NC State. I can't remember which one I decided to put first because if I go by NC, they're technically alphabetically first. But if we go by North Carolina, UNC is first.
If I have a say, Monty, we better do North Carolina first. You'll bother the living daylights out of me if we go by NC State.
Okay. All right. So we'll go North Carolina next. But until then, it just means less.